After the Catholic Church hung up on us, Trevin heard somewhere that we didn't know what to do, so we were going to try to fix it ourselves, right? That you should confront the entity and make it leave through sheer force of will and invoking the name of God. Well, I was raised Adventist. Trevin was Jewish, but I had left that religion because of my childhood and the oppression that I have and the literal trauma I have from being raised that way. But so we did it. As soon as we got started, there were like 9 little creepy things ran out from the kitchen. I remember they were about 2.5 feet tall. They had legs and arms, but they were very twisted and they moved in a weird way. It wasn't just running. But we had been told to open the door, the front door, and to sort of usher everything out. So we did that. The screaming intensified to the point where I remember yelling, like I felt like our neighbors must have thought we were batshit crazy, yelling to be heard over whatever noise it was I was hearing. I don't know if it was actual noise, but I remember it being very loud in that room. I had a cat. On the landing of the stairs, you go up one flight, there was a landing, and then back up the other flight to the upstairs. There were floor-to-ceiling mirrors on the top of that landing, and my cat would sit there for hours just watching that top landing. He wouldn't go upstairs after we played with the board. It was whatever was going on upstairs. It was in the whole house, but there were so many signs and I've forgotten a lot of them. So we do this clearing, and for a couple of days, it seems like things might be better. But that giant tall thing before it left the house laughed at us in a really like, oh, you silly girls kind of a way. Like, what do you think you're doing? I didn't for a moment feel like it wasn't going to come back. My cat kept watching the upstairs. Day 1, nothing really happened except I still didn't feel alone in the house. The screaming wasn't as bad, but I still felt like there were tons of people around me. I'm sitting downstairs. My bedroom is right above the living area, and I was reading a book, and all of a sudden I heard what sounded like somebody trashing that room, knocking over a bookcase, knocking over my dresser, glass breaking. And I'm thinking, oh my God, somebody's broken in. There was a balcony up off my bedroom. And so I thought maybe somebody had broken in up there. I grabbed a knife and I walked up the stairs. I don't know what I thought I was going to do. I have a newborn at home. I opened the door to my bedroom and there is nothing misplaced at all in that room. Nothing. It's exactly the way I left it. Except now there's this weird smoke or mist hanging over the bed. It didn't go away for 3 or 4 days. It just stayed there. I was so exhausted by this point. I wasn't, the screaming at night, I couldn't sleep. I was terrified for Trevin and what was going on. I'd had other things happen, like I was driving on a road on a hill and my steering wheel kept feeling like something was pulling it so that it would go off the edge of the road because there was no guardrail there. I literally felt like I was in danger for my life. Yes, I realize how utterly insane all of this sounds, but this is exactly what happened. So we realized pretty quickly that whatever we did in that house didn't do a dang thing. If anything, it made it worse. I came home one day and the front door was open. I never used the front door. I always went in through the back because that's where I parked. There was no off-street parking or street parking in front of it. It was like a big drop-off, so you had to walk all the way down to the corner, go down to the street, go onto the sidewalk. It was a hassle. I never, ever parked out front. Never used the front door. It was always dead-bolted. Came home and the door was wide open. Never saw my pet again. A cat that I'd had for 12 years that I'd literally flown with me when I moved because he was so spoiled. Gone. Just gone. Never saw him again. Looked everywhere for him. Positive something got him. I didn't let him out. We made very sure that he never went outside. I'm sure there are things that I'm leaving out, but at some point, Trevin's boyfriend found a pastor who used to work with people who had been in cults. This wasn't long after the satanic panic of the 80s. So we still had all of those people that felt like evil was just around the corner and the option to be possessed was in every shadow. I mean, it was bonkers, and so much of it was so fake. This was not fake. Trevin and I had gotten to the point where we were rarely separated. The serious attacks that would try to kill us, like trying to pull my car off to the side of the cliff, happened more when we weren't together. And if we were in the same building, we were able to sleep. Other than that, we were not able to sleep. There are parts of the story I'm completely leaving out that are just not, they're too much even for me. Remember, we've had nobody to help us. We've called the Catholic Church. They hung up on us. We've tried doing a clearing ourselves, and it went badly. It just backfired and things got worse. So Trevin lets me know that this man is going to be at her house at a certain day and time. So I go down there with the baby. And I remember sitting down at her table talking to this man and feeling like I wasn't feeling well. Like, you know, when you have a scratchy throat and it's kind of like talking doesn't feel good, it felt like that, but I hadn't been sick. And telling this man my story about what had happened, and him just looking at me really weird. And after a few minutes, he said, hang on a second. I'm sorry to interrupt you. What languages do you speak? And I'm like, just English, a little bit of Spanish. He said, you've not been speaking English this entire conversation, and I don't know what language you're speaking, but it wasn't English. So he decided at that point he had heard enough from just the bare bones of the situation. He asked to come and see the house. I would never have imagined what happened after that.